Before I go into my longer than usual presentation today, I would like to acknowledge the work of my friend Henry Doktovsky. He is the only one that has the talent and has the courage to expose the terrible abuse that has happened in the Hare Krishna movement, starting with his book, Killing for Krishna, where he described the killing of Sulochan, Stephen Bryan, that was orchestrated by Kirtan Ananda, Ki M, and his associate, including the very hypocrite Radhanath. I hope you have read The 11 Naked Emperor, that describe very well the big scam that did happen after the death of Swami Bhaktivedanta, where 11 people decided that they were now spiritual master, gurus, even if all of them knew that 2 of the members were pedophiles and lifelong homosexual. This book proved without a doubt that these so-called gurus were scammers that brought miseries to hundreds of their disciples. And for me, one of the most important books is Gold, Guns, and God series, especially volume 4, where he described the terrible miseries that the children of New Vrindavan went through, the suffering that the woman of New Vrindavan went through. In this book, we learn of the pedophiles that were rampant in New Vrindavan, raping young boys, and now more than 40 of the ex-students of the schools of New Vrindavan and also the schools of the Hare Krishna in India have committed suicide because they could not live with the terrible abuse that they had received. Their subconscious mind was suffering so much from those abuses, they could not live anymore in this world. Henry Doktovsky has done a great service in exposing the terrible abuse based on the philosophies and negative quotes of Swami Bhaktivedanta. If you have not read his book, I urge you to read them, for you will learn a lot about the dark side of the Hare Krishna movement and philosophy. Hi, Namaste. My name is Henry Jolicoeur. I'm a French-Canadian hypnotherapist that has worked with thousands of clients. And my special field of interest and study is brainwashing and mind control by cults. Over the last few years, I have made dozens of videos to expose all kinds of cults. More recently, I have made videos about this guy who calls himself Vishwananda Paramahansa. He is a thief, a rapist, and you can find those videos on my channel. Today, I would like to focus on the adoration of the statues of Swami Bhaktivedanta in temples of the Hare Krishna movement all around the world. As you see here, people worship that statue as if he was alive. And I say it's just pure idolatry. Most of the people, especially the newcomers that are asked to bow down and worship the statue of Swami Bhaktivedanta, do not have a clue of all the negative quotes that this man said when he was alive about the black race, about homosexuality, about women. So this video is to talk about those quotes that Swami Bhaktivedanta said during his lifetime. It is now my strong belief that Swami Bhaktivedanta, at the end of his life, around 1977, was really psychotic, saying things that his book would encourage World War III, saying dangerous things that, although at the time he had only 3,000 disciples in the world, he was thinking that he's going to take over the government of the United States and put his hand on the atomic bomb. These were not the words of a self-realized master. These were the word of a madman, someone who is deep in delusions. And people that claim that Swami Bhaktivedanta was an enlightened master till the time of his death are, in my opinion, deeply mistaken. There is now about 100 gurus in ISKCON that give initiation in the name of Swami Bhaktivedanta. Only a few are left from the 11 that were elected in 1977. There's Jayapataka. He has more than 50,000 disciples, and he probably does not know the karmic reaction of taking so many disciples. I knew Jayapataka in 1970, and by the evaluation of other leaders like Tamal Krishna, Madhavisa, and others, Jayapataka was considered a fanatic with not much intelligence. And it is a fact that he knew perfectly well when the election of the 11 gurus were happening that Kirtan Ananda was a pedophile, a lifelong homosexual, that Bhavananda was a pedophile, a lifelong homosexual. But he was part of the scam that accepted those people as guru, people that went on to do terrible things, even killing people. And there's Hridayananda, so-called Swami, who had problem with his sex life all of his life. His legal name is Howard Resnick. He is a Jew that made a really good business of being a guru. And Howard, being a Jew, never said anything against Swami Bhaktivedanta's quotes about the Jewish people. He should be ashamed of himself. There is now many really bad people that have declared themselves to be guru within ISKCON and without ISKCON. One of the worst is this guy, Paramadvaiti Swami. His legal name is Ulrich Allan. More than 40 women have now said that they were sexually molested by him, and many say that they were raped by him. He has thousands of devotees around the world. It's a big business. He's a very dangerous man. Then there's Radhanath. one of the biggest guru of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, with thousands of disciples. And Henry Dubtovsky has made it really clear in his book, Killing for Krishna, that this guy was deeply involved in the plot to kill Sulochan, Stephen Bryant. And these are just but a few. There are 100 others that are absolutely unqualified. They are not self-realized, and they say, I am a pure representative of Swami Bhaktivedanta. I teach exactly what Swami Bhaktivedanta was teaching. And they make sure to not mention any of the terrible quotes that you will hear in this presentation. My personal story, I joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1969 in Los Angeles. This is a picture of me with George Harrison when I was sent to Paris to open a temple for the Hare Krishna movement. By 1971, Swami Bhaktivedanta said, I was ready to take the final vows and become a monk, a sannyasi, renouncing sex for all of my life. And I took that vow in Australia in 1971 with this guy, Bali Mardan, legal name William Berkey. And I was a very sincere sannyasin, and I was sent to open center in South America, open a temple in Caracas, open a temple in Buenos Aires. And then I learned that Swami Bhaktivedanta had decided that Bali Mardan should get married because he had met a woman that had billions of dollars. She was apparently the heiress to the Toyota fortune. Here's this marriage that is still online. This is Bali Mardan. And the marriage was done directly by Swami Bhaktivedanta with this Chinese woman. And a year or so after this marriage, they found out that she was not the heiress of anything. She was just a common prostitute of New York City. And all the diamonds that she had in her hands, all the luxury trips they were taking around the world, was all stolen money from the New York temple. And for me, that was the beginning of my deprogramming, when I learned that Swami Bhaktivedanta could revoke the vows of celibacy because some woman brought a lot of money. I was disgusted, really. The message to all the monks of the Hare Krishna movement was, hey, you're a monk, you have renounced sex, but if you find a woman that has a lot of money, a multimillionaire, you can renounce your vows and enjoy a marriage. I thought it was such hypocrisy. It was the beginning of my deprogramming, but it took years of therapy. I became a hypnotherapist to investigate my own mind. I had thousands of hours going into trance to examine my own mind. What helped a lot in my deprogramming is the practice of meditation, especially the Kriya Yoga that I was initiated to. Because the Hare Krishna movement does not believe in meditation. Big mistake. They say that meditation was for other ages, not good for Kali Yoga, the age that we're in right now. Only the chanting of the name of God and especially Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, will bring you to perfection. And I say it's absolute nonsense. The benefit of practicing Kriya Yoga, Siddha Yoga, and later on Jnana Yoga with my favorite spiritual teacher, Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi, really was a great help to deprogram myself from the negativity of the Hare Krishna cult. I have made a movie about the process of Jnana Yoga, and you can find that video at the link under this video. Jnana Yoga is asking questions. Is this truth or not truth? Who am I really? Not just to accept whatever teaching is being poured into your mind, into your head, as most of the Hare Krishna people are asked to do. You have to believe what Swami Bhaktivedanta said, what the scripture says, and you should not doubt anything. And I say, you have to doubt everything. You must not lose your rational mind. And that's what brainwashing and cults is all about. Losing your rational mind and believing all kinds of things that are total nonsense, including, as far as I'm concerned, that the whole universe and cosmic manifestation of the universe is controlled by a blue god, Sri Krishna and his girlfriend from some planet in the spiritual world. And if you chant the mantra Hare Krishna, your soul will eventually travel to that planet where you'll be able to play with Krishna and his spiritual friends and spiritual cows. And that's what the Hare Krishna philosophy really believe. Now, I think it's complete nonsense. The philosophy of the Hare Krishna, let's be frank, has helped a lot of hippies in the 1960s, 70s to get off drugs, to get off alcohol, and to live a more sattvic, pure way of life. And you can find that desire to live a pure way of life in all the traditions of India, and all the traditions that made it to the Western world, such as Kriya Yoga from Swami Yogananda, Siddha Yoga from Swami Muktananda, Jnana Yoga from Sri Ramana Maharishi, Transcendental Meditation by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. But none of those spiritual teachers said the terrible negative quotes that Swami Bhaktivedanta said during his lifetime. I have assembled some of my past video to make this presentation, and my goal is that those new people that come to investigate the philosophy of the Hare Krishna movement should know that Swami Bhaktivedanta had a very ignorant, dark side to his teaching that are still present in the Hare Krishna organization right now. It is a warning to those people that are being mesmerized by all kinds of little gurus preaching that Swami Bhaktivedanta was pure, without fault, self-realized, an enlightened soul, and that they should accept his teaching good or bad, because he knew better than anyone else. Here are some of the quotes that I find scandalous and dangerous, spoken by Swami Bhaktivedanta during his lifetime. Scholars that have studied the entire collection of Swami Bhaktivedanta's books have declared that 80% of what Swami Bhaktivedanta said about women was negative. Some of the quotes of Swami Bhaktivedanta are scandalous, and these quotes have caused untold miseries and pain to some women in the Hare Krishna movement. Here's some of the quotes. A man is always famous for his aggression toward beautiful women, and such aggression is sometimes considered rape. Although it is not legally allowed to rape a woman, it is a fact that a woman likes a man who is very expert at rape. There's been many rapes in communities of the Hare Krishna in the 70s, 80s, and even now. Fanatics, devotees of Swami Bhaktivedanta who believe that their guru was perfect, pure, take these quotes to be a permission to abuse women. Here's another one. When a woman is attacked by an aggressive man, she takes his action to be mercy. Generally, when a woman is attacked by a man, she enjoys the attack because she is very lusty. Swami Bhaktivedanta said, women in general are very much sexually inclined. Indeed, it is said that a woman's sex desire is 9 times stronger than the sexual desire of man. It is therefore a man's duty to keep a woman under control. What a stupid quote. How did Swami Bhaktivedanta, who was married once when he was 21 years old to a girl that was 11 years old, can conclude that a woman is 9 times more sexually inclined than man? Fanatic devotees of Swami Bhaktivedanta and the Hare Krishna movement believe these quotes to be truth, with the result that over the years, many women were sexually exploited in the Hare Krishna movement. In his book, Srimad Bhagavatam 4.25-41, Swami Bhaktivedanta said, although rape is not legally allowed, it is a fact that a woman likes a man who is very expert at rape, a spiritual master. Write such things. Such quotes were used eventually by fanatic devotees of Swami Bhaktivedanta who thought that he was the perfect authority to rape women, thinking that women will enjoy such rape. In community like New Vrindavan, under the leadership of Swami Kirtan Ananda, some young girls as young as 11, 12, 13-year-old were married to much older men. Swami Bhaktivedanta said in Mayapur that for a man there is no maximum age. An 80-year-old man can marry a 16-year-old. And here's some quotes that have caused a lot of miseries and pain to women. A drum, an idiot, a Sudra, a man of lower class, a dog, and a woman are all eligible for beating. In his book, Henry Doktovsky has said that many women in the New Vrindavan community were beaten black and blue by their husband. And they would sometimes come in the temple in the morning with black eye, and they would tell the other woman there that they had received mercy from their husband. These women were so brainwashed that they thought receiving a blessing was also receiving a beating from their husband. Swami Bhaktivedanta said in 1969, in India, still in villages where there is a quarrel between a husband and wife, the husband beats his wife. That is the best way to tame a woman. Swami Bhaktivedanta always considered women to be less intelligent than men. His argument was that a man's brain is 64 ounces, and a woman's brain, he said, was 34 ounces. Therefore, the woman is less intelligent. And this was absolutely wrong, because in reality, science has shown that a woman's brain is 42 ounces and the man's brain is about 47 ounces. And it's not how big is the brain, it is the content of the brain. How much knowledge, how much intelligence is in that brain. As far as I'm concerned, I had a wife that was way more intelligent than me, an international graphic designer, an accomplished musician. My two daughters graduated from university. My granddaughter is studying to be a lawyer in a Canadian university. My doctor is a woman. My lawyer is a woman. I believe that this philosophy of a woman being less intelligent than men is complete nonsense. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 6:17-34, Swami Bhaktivedanta said, it is clear that the understanding of a woman is always lower than the understanding of a man. So in Hare Krishna marriages, there was no place for arguments. The man was always right. So ladies, if you're one of those person that is thinking of joining the Hare Krishna movement anywhere in the world, I want you to know that in the philosophy of the Hare Krishna movement, women are considered to be less intelligent, lusty, and a person that might enjoy being raped. Now, one of the most bizarre and scandalous quotes of Swami Bhaktivedanta is about homosexuality. Although some of his leading disciples, like Kirtan Ananda, whose legal name was Keith Am, was a lifelong homosexual and pedophile, and he joined with his lover, Arigriva, Howard Wheeler, who became one of the main person doing the edition of the book of Swami Bhaktivedanta, along with Bhavananda, Charles Basis, who became one of the 11 gurus of the Hare Krishna in 1977. These were all homosexual and pedophile. And you wonder, how come Swami Bhaktivedanta did not know that these people were homosexual? And there were dozens more of homosexual and pedophile in the Hare Krishna that eventually did abuse hundreds of children, terrible abuse, terrible sexual abuse, to the point that now nearly 40 ex-students of the schools of the Hare Krishna movement that were abused by teacher pedophiles have committed suicide. Swami Bhaktivedanta had made it clear that he did not approve homosexual lifestyle. He said, and I quote, "The homosexual appetite of a man for another man is demoniac, and it is not for any sane man in the ordinary course of life. The world is degrading to the lowest status, even less than animal. The animals also do not support homosexuality. They never have sex between male and male. Homosexual are less than animal, and this is all due to godlessness." In Los Angeles, in a lecture in 1972, Swami Bhaktivedanta said, "Just see, they are talking about homosexual lifestyle, even in universities. Homosexuals are fourth-class men. They are animals producing many other animals. Even the churches, the priestly class, now are talking about marriages between man and man. Just see how humanity has come to the lowest point." If Swami Bhaktivedanta did believe that homosexuality was a demonic lifestyle, why did he not ask his devotee before making them monks, "Are you an homosexual? Are you a pedophile?" He did not ask any question, and the results was total miseries for hundreds of children that went to the schools that were under the guidance of Kirtan Ananda that you see here, and the one in India under the guidance of Bhavananda that you see here. These were monster pedophiles that took joy in giving fellatio to young kids that were under the care of the Hare Krishna movement. This anti-homosexual philosophy is still very present in the Hare Krishna movement. There's no homosexual marriages in the Hare Krishna temple around the world because they knew very well that as a philosophy, Swami Bhaktivedanta was very anti-homosexual. He did not understand what homosexuality is all about, or he just used a blind eye, accepting the service and the large amount of money that those homosexuals were giving him. Swami Bhaktivedanta did not understand anything about homosexuality. Now it is clear by science that you are mostly born homosexual or heterosexual. To call homosexual demoniac is basically stupid. Are we going to call Elton John demoniac? Are we going to call Ellen DeGeneres demoniac, and the millions of people around the world that are good citizens but are homosexual and lesbian? Some Hare Krishna devotees still do think that homosexuality is demoniac because their guru said so. Quote of Swami Bhaktivedanta on the Native American. First, he called Native American Sudras. the lowest type of human being. And he said, and I quote, "Sudras have no brain." In America also, the whole America once belonged to the Red Indians. Why could they not improve America? The land was there. Why did they not improve that land? It took foreigners, European, to come and improve America. So those Red Indian, those Sudra, those lower class people, they cannot think properly. They could not improve America. Well, here's another theme that Swami Bhaktivedanta was completely ignorant in making a judgment. 1,000 years ago, you could drink water from any stream. Native American had a very high form of spirituality. And when the European came, it was an holocaust that killed millions of Native American from North America to South America. Swami Bhaktivedanta is a complete ignorance of the history of Native American. And it's a complete shame that he told his brainwashed disciple that Native American were a low-class type of man and woman. Swami Bhaktivedanta, who claimed to be a pure devotee of God, an enlightened master, said some scandalous quotes about the black race. He knew it, so he wrote a letter to his disciple Sasvarupa in 1968 and said, "Certainly we are not going to say these things about the Negro people publicly, so you can understand that these talks are not for the public, as they do not have the ability to understand." So what did the public could not understand about the Negroes? Here are some of the scandalous quotes of Bhaktivedanta on the black race. In his book, the Srimad Bhagavatam, edition of 1964, the Negroes and beastly societies are all ugly looking in the estimation of the civilized nation. Swami Bhaktivedanta, in a private conversation, the 21st of January 1977, Bhubaneswar, India. And especially in your country, it will be dangerous because these blacks, if they don't get employment, they will create havoc, trouble. Those blacks, they are not civilized. They want money. And if they do not get money, then they will create trouble. Private conversation in Mayapur, 1977. The Sudra, the lowest kind of human being, must be controlled, always. They were under your control once, and since you have given them equal right, they are disturbing, always creating fearful situation. They are uncultured, drunkard. What training do they have? That is the best, to keep them as slaves. Give them sufficient food, sufficient clothes, no more than that, and they will be satisfied. There is many more quotes about Swami Bhaktivedanta talking about the black people, but obviously Swami Bhaktivedanta had no idea of the history of slavery in America and in South America. More than 14 million black people were imported from Africa in terrible conditions. Between 2 and 4 million died on the boat on the way to America. They were beaten, tortured, and forced to work for nothing, many for whole lifetime. No, Swami Bhaktivedanta did not understand anything about the history of slavery. And it's a crying shame that he came to America and told his mostly white disciple these terrible quotes, these scandalous quotes about the black people. Frightening quotes from Swami Bhaktivedanta dating from 1976, 1 year before he died. He said those words to his disciple Rameshwar, Robert Grant, that was his secretary at the time. These quotes shows the mind of a man that is probably psychotic, delusional, ready to kill millions of people for his belief. Swami Bhaktivedanta said, after we secure America, we will use everything in Krishna's service, even the atomic bomb. We will tell them, surrender to Krishna or else we will drop the atomic bomb. And that's an exact quote. Rameshwar continued, Prabhupada told me that the war was inevitable. There is no way it can be stopped. But then I said, Prabhupada, I thought you once said that if you keep distributing books, then maybe the war can be stopped. And Swami Bhaktivedanta replied, no, it will increase the chance of that war. That will make it happen faster. We want that. We want that war. That is preparing the world for the fight against atheism. That's what my book are doing. They are preparing the world. This war is inevitable. If they are reluctant to fight, we will force them to fight. This is the way Swami Bhaktivedanta spoke in 1976. Swami Bhaktivedanta was very delusional, thinking that he was about to conquer America and make America Krishna conscious, to the point where he would take over the military and use the atomic bomb on some other countries that did not believe in Krishna. Making more research on Robert Grant this week, I found some of his conversation with Swami Bhaktivedanta, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, that he had all the way up to 1977, a few months before Swami Bhaktivedanta died. It is important to understand that Robert Grant is Jewish, and this conversation that he had with Bhaktivedanta was about the Jewish people. It reaffirmed for me that the process of brainwashing is very potent. Even someone who is Jewish can be convinced by a guru that the Jewish people are not very good people. So here's the conversation between Swami Bhaktivedanta and Robert Grant. This was on January 23rd, 1977, a few months before the demise of Swami Bhaktivedanta. Robert Grant said, "It is commonly known that the bank in the West, controlled by the Jews, supplied money to Lenin to fight his revolution. The Jews have no discrimination. It seemed like a good chance for them to make interest on their money." Swami Bhaktivedanta said, "Therefore, Hitler killed those Jews because they were financing against Germany. Otherwise, he had no enmities against the Jews. They were simply supplying money. The Jews want interest on their money. Never mind even if it's against your own country. Therefore, Hitler decided, kill the Jews." Swami Bhaktivedanta continued, "Yes, the Jews have the money. They want to invest. They want to make some profit. Their only interest is how to get money. They are not interested in nationalism, in religion, nothing of the sort. Therefore, long ago, Shakespeare said, Shylock the Jews." In another conversation, Swami Bhaktivedanta explained, "Yes, that's the nature of the Jews. They will do business with anyone, friends or enemies. To make money, they will not discriminate." Therefore, Hitler felt strongly about the Jews and tried to do away with them. That is the reason, because that's the nature of the Jews. Robert Grant, himself a Jew, said, "My guru considered the Jews to be very low-class merchants. They would sell to their own enemies if they could make money. So they undermine their own society. Therefore, Hitler wanted to get rid of them." Now that's a Jew talking here. Conversation in Toronto, June 17, 1976. Swami Bhaktivedanta said, yes, these English people, they were expert in making propaganda. They kill Hitler by propaganda. I don't think Hitler was such a bad man." In another place he says that Hitler was really a great student of the holy book, the Bhagavad Gita. We must be reminded that in World War II, more than 6 million Jews were killed, and about 2 million of them were children. What part were they playing in the economy of Germany? And it's very unfortunate that some of the leader of the Hare Krishna movement know very well that Swami Bhaktivedanta said terrible things against the Jews. Some of them are even Jewish, and they don't say anything because they have been brainwashed in thinking that the guru is perfect, that whatever words was coming from the mouth of Swami Bhaktivedanta was the truth. If anyone believed these words of Swami Bhaktivedanta, he is obviously brainwashed. So my message here, be very careful what you believe. Being brainwashed by the Hare Krishna movement or by the philosophies of hundreds of cults out there is more easy than you think. Thank you very much. At the beginning of this presentation, I said how terrible that devotees of Krishna around the world are worshipping the statue of Swami Bhaktivedanta, bowing down in front of the statue inviting the guests of the temple to worship and bow down to the statue of Bhaktivedanta. As far as I'm concerned, this is complete idolatry. But I would like to leave you with something even more sad, scandalous. Henry Dubkovsky, in many of his books now, has proven that this guy, Kirtan Ananda, K.M., was a prolific pedophile giving blowjob to little boys, possibly hundreds of them. He enjoyed drinking their semen. That's how perverted he was. It is clear that he was deeply involved in the killing of Sulochan. And I am amazed that the worship of statues is now the worship of statues of even evil person like Kirtan Ananda. So I'm going to leave you with this clip that I find absolutely horrific, disgusting, troublesome, of devotees of Kirtan Ananda in India that made an idol, a statue of Kirtan Ananda to worship. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how far people that are ignorant can worship even a man that has proven to be evil, pedophile. Thank you very much.